Hey everyone, how's it going? I want to take a minute and talk to everybody about building teams and some of the helpful tools that are out there for building your team, and honestly, the importance of building a team. I think all of these are really great pieces and subjects. So, first off, let's talk a little bit about the importance of building a team. As we have built the organization over the course of the last 31 months typically like right in the beginning when we first got started, we were able to bring on, 80 or 100 people with traction that would sell everything else. And then we needed to split the trainer management of those people, and they got split out to additional teams, right? So ultimately what we found was this: it's just like having a gym buddy. When you wake up in the morning to go to the gym, then you need to be ready to go to the gym with somebody because somebody else is holding you accountable. If you don't wake up in the morning to go to the gym and they're there at your door knocking on the door to say, hey, let's go to the gym, then it doesn't hold you per se accountable, right? That's what you need. And so to me, the reason that it was so important to build teams in the very beginning of the business, and still is to my opinion, is because you train somebody that first day training. So in the very beginning, when I first did the business, I literally would post 5 ads, and then I would literally write ads for people, and I'd say, okay, when you post this next ad, you're going to post the title, then you're going to post the body, then you're going to post the picture, then you're going to pull up a price for your area, and you're going to post X price, right? And so I would do different types of postings, and I would say, here's a sweet deal, or a blowout, or whatever else would be. We would try new things, and we would try that together. But while they posted their ad, I would also post my ad. So it held me accountable for posting. Well, in the very beginning, I would do 3 trainings in 3 hours. I would do one at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, and 11 o'clock every night. Why? Because that's when people's kids were in bed, right? So mostly around the country, if it was the East Coast, they really were in bed. And so I would usually do East Coast, 9 o'clock, which is 11 o'clock their time, and their kids are in bed. Then I would do Central at 10 o'clock, which is or 10 o'clock my time, which is 11 o'clock their time, so still the same. And then I would do one in Mountain Time at 11 o'clock, which was 11 o'clock this time, Mountain Time, right? And so their kids were for sure in bed, and they could focus on the training and get all 5 ads knocked out, all right? So as you're growing, your people on your team want to know that you as the leader are checked in every day. And so how are some things that they can know that you're checked in every day? First thing is edification. Number 1. Edification. So what you do is, if somebody hits the board, you give them kudos. You say congratulations for hitting the board, all those types of things. So you edify people, you give them the woot woot, glad you did it. Paid in fulls came out, people in the very beginning would post that they just got an invoice, right? Invoice would be very first before they even had paid in fulls, because then at least we know there's actions of them having it or working. What's the number one thing that always comes out when you first teach somebody how to post ads? It always comes out, number one thing. And this is how I knew that it was working. So they would get a text message and they'd say, hey, I got a text message already of somebody that wants one of those. And I'd look at it and it would say the repost of what it was, a little dash mark, and I want this item. And the people would get so excited, but I didn't know who they were, and they didn't know who I was because of how I found most of the people in the beginning. And so they'd be like, hey, this is one. And I can't tell them, well, I think that's a scam. I can't, even though I know it, even looking at the text message. So instead, what I would say is, hey, I'm going to introduce you to your crew page, our team, and I want you to post that and see what their thoughts are. If all these people from all around the country are telling them, oh, don't do it, that's just a scam, ignore that, then they get it right off the bat, right? And so that still happens a lot in the different postings and things. And so you just need to know that going in, if that happens when you're first training somebody, send it out to the crew page, and it's a good opportunity for them to get to know the team. Now, let's talk about those teams, okay? So the team itself, you want to gain traction and depth. So what I often would do is I would go out and I'd find somebody, knowing that I'm going to do $50,000 or $75,000 in a month anyways, meaning I would get paid for that 3rd level percentage because I have my base of what I laid out for the year, right? So I would get paid that anyway. So I would take somebody and I'd put it underneath my friend. And the reason I would do that is because I know I'm going to get paid off that 2nd level anyways. And so if they feel responsible or they have a gym buddy that's introduced to them, they're more likely to stay in traction. And then also if that gym buddy sells, they're more likely to want to work to make sure they get that trainer override of the $25,000 on their 1st level grouping, right? Make sense? So ways to manage your team as you scale and grow, okay? There's 3 softwares out there that big names use, like Gary Vaynerchuk, Grant Cardone, There was another guy recently. Ryan Stewman. So they use some of these easy softwares that we promote and help. And what the ones they use is they use a one called Infusionsoft. Well, Infusionsoft is like $2,000 a month. I don't recommend it. You don't need it. And that's for sending campaigns and staying in touch with your team at certain hours. And so rather than literally going on and posting every day like you see on LinkedIn at all times of the hours, like you might see that I have, I can set up my Cint Share. That's the one I use because it's $10 a month, right? So I can set up my Cint Share, and then on my Cint Share at $10 a month, it can literally post on all my groups, all my social profiles, everything, and I can set it 30 days in advance, right? So that's what I recommend that everybody uses is a Cint Share for $10. Gary Vaynerchuk uses Hootsuite, Grant Cardone and Ryan Stewman use Infusionsoft. And so those are the different ones that are out there that I know of. But that will help you stay tuned into your business and at least do the initial post that then your people comment on, and then you can feedback, and you don't feel like you'll always have to manage your team, manage your personal business, and manage everything else on top of that, all right? And then the biggest thing is just back to the basics every day. If you're always posting that 5 or 10 ads, and even better, if you're training somebody while you're doing it, it gets you in the habit of posting those ads every time. I have heard different trainers say, hey, write your own ads versus I'm going to write them for you. I have heard that, and that's okay. The way I used to do it is I used to initially write their ads for the first 3 days, because then I could make sure they were using the right pictures. You know, you don't want mountains in your pictures if you're in Kansas City. You want the right pictures all the time. And so anyways, some things to think about. We're going to stick this up on training so everybody can know, but the biggest thing is you can grow those big teams and make the trainer pay. There are other companies out there that pay more money in container sales than we do. However, there aren't companies out there that can do what a Steven Renfro or a Matt does or any of those guys do, where literally their trainer pays are bigger than their own personal pays now. And it's just because they built a team with depth and strong and everything else. And so we really appreciate what everybody's doing. We really look forward to some growth. We've got some exciting things coming out on the logistics side when it comes to transparency. So I just got out of a meeting just now that's going to work on transparency. And what that literally means is that everybody's going to be able to see the average days of delivery by depot. And then they're also soon going to have access to a calendar that allows them to pay and book with that client now. It is extremely hard sometimes when we call your clients that have paid and they literally tell us their ground isn't ready yet, right? We get that a lot. And so we want ways for have those things in place basically for all of you. So continue to grow. You guys are doing amazing. We really appreciate what everybody does, and I hope that these training videos really help people grow their team and also, you know, their long-term, where they see their futures and everything else. We're going to continue investing in the business and growing, and I'm really excited about what's coming out in the future and long-term. We really believe this could be a career path or a business that you enjoy for a long time. Everybody have a good day. Bye.